Yes, welcome everyone. So tonight's topic we have chosen is on death, and no one can escape death. So, how much do we know about death is a big question, and it's nice to prepare and to understand what is because it's a grand order. So, the firing question is what is death? What happens at death? What travels after death? And the whole grand order, how it is, and we really want to know what it is. So most people kind of you see them die in the hospital in all that chaos. There's just so much noise going on, and we get very caught up in that. Um, Few of them who sort of die very peacefully. So it's nice to know that mentally, if we say, I would like to be in that space of peace when I leave the body, um, and see what happens, but more so to understand what is death and what travels. So the first thing is, as we all know, that the breath stops. And of course, when the breath stops, all our transactions, the karmic transactions, the karma, everything just ends there. For this life, it's kind of finished. So we need to know more than that. What else happens is the prana, the respiration, the thoughts, all those things come to an end. And even Krishna says that remember me in the last moments is very important. So if we are so attached to whatever objects and relationships we're attached to, we're likely to come back because that is, if that is our last thought. So again, it's nice to detach and just say, I'm here. It's just going from one body to the next if we have not self realized. So, you know, we can say that, okay, this is just a transition state, where I'm just on this earth. Nothing belongs to me. Everything that I'm given, I'm using it, and I do my best, and I leave it behind. And if we go with that sort of mind attitude, we're not going to be attached to anything. So the way I like to describe is like an orange. The orange takes a while to peel that skin, and that becomes a bit painful because it is so attached to the flesh. Whereas the satsuma is although it's there, but it's not fully like glued to the fruit. And if we are sort of like the satsuma, the transition can be very nice, and could be in a better way. So it is not a destruction. It is just a transition from one state, one body to the other. That is, if we're not self-realized. So what we really need to remember is, yes, the physical body is dying, but then there is another body, which is the subtle body. So the Atma is with the subtle body, and it is the one that leaves to go onto the onward journey. And with it, the karmic account goes. Also, there are other forces like that helps in the process. So the first is the prana going, the respiration. It kind of stops. So all that is now stopping everything else. So the samana is, we often feel the body goes cold. So I had that experience just 2 days ago as I was assisting. And you kind of see that person 10 minutes ago was so much alive, and it kind of said something to you. And suddenly in those 10 minutes, it's just laying there on the floor, and you kind of think, oh my goodness. So that body is now not transacting with this world. It is just laying there. So it felt so cold. So the breathing stops, the body gets cold because the samana vayu is, of course, the heat is not there. And then there is the udana vayu, which is the one that separates the physical body from the subtle body, and the subtle body takes the onward journey, whereas the physical body stays behind. Now, again, there is another vayu, which is apana, and we've often sort of felt that even after a few days, you see, when I worked in the hospital in the mortuary many, many years ago, and you would see the bodies are sort of still twitching, and you suddenly shake, oh my goodness, this is alive or what? But it's not alive. It's just that it takes between 0 and 14 days it takes to kind of wind down. So there is that vayu as well. And then the last one is Vayana. So, of course, with Hindus, of course, they cremate the bodies. And in the olden times, they used to cremate within a day. And they found sometimes, oh my goodness, some people were cremating whilst the body was not quite dead. So then they said, give it 4 days before you cremate. So many bodies are now cremated after 4 days. So this last vayu is the one that when it goes down, of course, it depletes, the decaying starts. So they say that before it goes, then let's just cremate it. And as the cremation happens, it's a sign to say, yes, it's moving on, gives peace to the family as well. So there's not all that attachment still there, and the Atma feels kind of peaceful to carry on onto the next journey. So there is a grand order, all these things taking place just like at birth, how it is. So it all depends on what good work we have done as well. And the next body can be chosen as per the karmic account again. But if we are self-realized, then the karma and everything has finished. So then there is no samsara. And that's our goal, really, is to self-realize. And once we are self-realized, like the satsuma, the skin peels, the physical body goes, the subtle body will no longer be needed, no karmic account. So we are free, as a spirit, and we go back to the source. So all this, if we really understand, then we would live our life fully. We would do the great work that we are here to do as per the grand order. And as per the dharma, we would do what we are required, and we wouldn't be building up karmas, because the more karmas we build, the more we are into the samsara. So this is why death is so important. If we understand death, then we would live as. So again, when the Atma exists, exits the body, it can go through various ways. So they say that when it goes through the lower part of the body, that's when we have not done great work. And when it exits through the back of the head, through the crown, like with the Ramana Maharishi, a lot of people who sat there during his last hours of his life, they actually saw the light, and it's something to marvel, really. So a realized person would leave, their Atma will leave through the higher, exit. So that's another thing to think of. So all this is so important to know about the death process. We are not even sensitive sometimes, I find. Like I found recently when I was standing by the body, that there was such a commotion, and people are stepping over the body. Things like this we should not be doing. We should be so sensitive, because the body, we need to respect this body, although it is dead. We really need to respect. So wherever you are in this situation, keep silent, and just chant as much as you can, just Om. And just by doing that, we are creating a great space around that body, and bringing a lot of peace as well through that. And just keep minimum to questions and talking and all that. Just keep it aside for a while, and just be sensitive, and cover the body at least partially or fully up to here at least, so it remains in a better place. Other than that, yes, we have to work towards our self-realization. So it's all a matter of ending the samsara. So we don't want to go into the next body. But now that we understand what death is, then we will naturally do our good deeds in this life. So we don't have to be in this full cycle. And yeah, what else can I say is just pray that everyone comes to self-realization. So it's um, end of this, the whole thing. But if we are aware of this, then we will see the grand order in pure awareness as what actually happens at death. And that would be a wonderful thing, because only 20% of the population really know what happens at death. So they're not even prepared. And if they're not prepared, they will never see the grand order. And that would be a shame. So let's know this knowledge before the death comes to our door. Namaste. Om Shanti Shanti.